Sunday, January 24th, and I'm just trying to go through some of the honey boxes. Kind of a rainy day. It's been snowing this morning in Vancouver. It's not very common, actually. Gets snow a couple times a year. But just going through my honey boxes here, looking for wax moth. So far, I've gone through 8 boxes, between 9 and 10 frames per box, and only found 1 frame with wax moth. So that's pretty good. Just going to see if I can find any. I did have some of the Man Lake crystals to reduce wax moth, and it seems to have worked. Last year, over half my frames were destroyed by wax moth. So yeah, no, just if you look at it, everything looks good. Just kind of getting ready for the new season. We had 6 hives. We are down to 4, 2 strong, and sort of 2, I wouldn't say really weak, but 2 medium. I think I'll probably shake those out or combine them in the spring, I guess is what I really do. I'm just going to go through and clean the boxes up, scrape the inside of the boxes, all my covers. I've already done all the queen excluders, and I've got both. I kind of have 2 colors right here for honey boxes, both blue and naturally stained, kind of switching to the naturally stained. Yeah, so hopefully we get all 4 of those hives through to the spring. Like I say, we've got another 6 weeks and they'll start building up a little bit, sort of end of February, beginning of March. We start seeing brood in Vancouver. Going into my 3rd year of beekeeping. So yeah, we'll kind of show some shots here. If I found any wax moth, I'll come back. So I thought maybe I would talk a little bit about being a new beekeeper. It's only been 3 years for me. Watch a lot of YouTube, but have also attended, and both physically before COVID and during COVID, a lot of webinars and Zoom meetings. I really highly suggest that people join the local bee club. Invaluable to talk to local people, because bees are really a microclimate, I've found. And asking local people what they're doing, so much better than watching something online and watching somebody in the north or in California, which is totally inapplicable to what's happening in Vancouver. So joining a local club, buying from your local bee supplier, being able to ask them questions is really, really, I think, beneficial to both the hobby, the industry, for people who do it as a profession. Don't take it lightly. They are living creatures and they take a lot of work. So being able to ask people, when you're having issues, I think is extremely valuable. This year we had, sort of 2 hives that I had issues with, and those 2 hives, of course, in the end had heavy mite loads. I had treated, after the honey came off with Formic Pro in August in Vancouver, I retested them mid-September, and I had a couple hives that had 50 mites out of 300. Most of them were sort of 2 out of 300, but had 50 out of 2 hives. Those 2 hives I ended up losing by the end of October. I treated them with Apivar mid-September, and end of October, they just did not recover. Those poor bees were just terrible. In the end, I combined them down to 5 frames in a deep, which I'd made into 2 hives that had a divider in it. They just did not survive. So in the end, they passed away sort of mid-October, those hives, and that's why I'm down to 4. The 4 I've treated with oxalic acid twice in November, mid and end of November. In November, I had a mite drop on my boards, and on the second treatment, no mite drop. So I'm hopefully on top of the mites. It just goes to show you that you really do have to test. And I was testing every 2 months. I'm going to test every hive every month. I mean, I've only got 6 hives. It's not that big a deal. Once you get used to it, it's quite a simple thing to do. And I really do suggest you keep on top of your mite load. I have a feeling that's the biggest issue. Everybody tells you over and over again that mites are a big issue in the bees. And I think it just, no matter how many times they tell you, you just will not realize that you have to be on top of your mite load in your hives. So again, that's another suggestion I would have for people. I'm hoping to go into spring with a very, very low mite load. So hopefully we'll get on top of these things this year and have a better year. The first year was great. Second year, not so bad. But again, just keep testing. Talk to local people. It seems to be in Vancouver, there was a lot of losses due to mites. I wasn't the only one. I know professional beekeepers that were on top of their mite load, and they still had lost 20% going into the fall. So again, just another reminder. But these honey frames look good. Well, so there's a little bit of wax moth. If you can see it. But I mean, I have very, very little wax moth in these hives. I have been taking it out. I'm not too sure if that's what you do, but like I said, very, very little. That's the second frame out of 10 boxes. So I consider myself pretty lucky. While I'm cleaning out my honey boxes, I am converting them all to 9-frame honey boxes. So I am putting little dividers in. And if you've never seen these, they're just a little spacer that you put in. Put a couple nails along the side, and like that. It gives your frames spacing. So you don't have to fight with them. So it just automatically gives you a little more space, so you get into a 9-frame box opposed to a 10. Worked out well, so I've got half my boxes are 10s and half are 9s, and I'm converting everything in honey. And I use honey deeps, the 6.5 inch. Honey supers, not honey deeps. And I have 10 right now, and like I say, I'm converting them over to 9 just to give it a little more space and reduce the weight a little bit. All right, it's January 24th, and I've just finished going through, I guess, 16 honey supers, going through and trying to make them all 9-frame, putting in dividers where I hadn't had dividers already. Not a lot of wax moth, maybe 5 frames with 2 or 3 1-inch round areas of wax moth, so not as bad as last year for sure. Yeah, so I think overall, I think the honey supers are ready to go as far as for this year. I've still got to go through 2 dead out hives I had going into the fall, clean those out. Yeah, I'd say another 5 weeks, 6 weeks, we'll be ready to get the 4 hives I've got going, sort of go in there and take a look what they're doing. They are flying a little bit on the days that it sort of hit 8 to 10 degrees Celsius and not that too much rain. So I know they are still alive at the moment. Again, it's just how I do it. This is my 3rd year going into beekeeping. Yeah, like I say, join a club, find a mentor, read what you can. Don't believe everything you see on YouTube, though there are some good YouTube channels. Was it OUG, whatever, Ontario Guelph University has some great YouTube videos. Ian Stepler has some excellent videos. Yeah, I mean, Dirt Rooster is always fun to look at. Yeah, there's lots of good reference. Ed, the bee man there. Lots of good videos if you want to watch some good people, also a lot of bad ones. So like try to find somebody in your local area to get some reference. Again, I think we're ready to go for this year. Just gonna keep cleaning. Thank you very much.